day is Son of Redemption, or is too funky Son of Redemption? Son of Redemption, this is too right? So
It's a good idea. Let me just do this.
We begin on page 2. Like no other prayer, Kol Nidre compels our presence, and not just us alone, but the memorized outline, too, of younger years, the gentle feel of those who tucked us in, who blessed our days, consoled our nights, and came as we do on this eve with memories of their own. We tonight are memories in the making, warming seats for others who will remember us in some Kol Nidre they shall hear when we are gone.
And present too among us are memories more recent of what we did or said or were or weren't since last year at this time, of what we learned or lost, of kisses that we gave or got, the laugh that lovers recognize. The days of empty wandering and wondering where God was, or knowing with compelling certainty that God was with us, even in despair.
Kol Nidre harbors memory of all this. Its melody persists, insists, commands, and summons our acknowledgement of time, what we recall of others past and what we vow to leave behind for others still to come, who will remember us. we kindle this memorial light for those we loved and those we lost, for all we miss from the year now gone. Let us prepare for Kol Nidre, our song of memory.
deep gratitude to our central member, Julian Schwartz, for bringing the gift of his heart and brilliant talent to open our hearts. If the heavens have gates, they have been opened while you're playing. We now bring in the festival lights on page 3. I invite up Bob Cohen to please join us in lighting the festival candles. Well, I cannot tell you how incredibly grateful that I am to be here tonight. Now, a week ago, I would say my greatest anxiety and worry was the seating of this service for Kol Nidre tonight, and that you would all be happy with where you were. There's nothing like getting COVID to shift and redirect your greatest worries. But I've tested negative, I am feeling great, and I'm so glad this year didn't become the year the rabbi had to atone for missing the Day of Atonement. I'm especially grateful not to miss being here because this is a particularly meaningful Kol Nidre for me. It is my 18th Kol Nidre at Central Synagogue, which is Chai, or life, and it does feel like I came here a lifetime ago. My first high holidays, many of you were here. I was a very nervous cantor, and I barely made it through the first Kol Nidre. 18 years ago, my youngest child couldn't walk, and now she has left the nest. Many of you have watched me grow up here, and we've shared many a milestone together. Tonight feels particularly poignant and historic and meaningful because we have both Rabbi Peter Rubenstein and Cantor Botten, our two emeriti, here together on the bima. I can't remember the last time they were both here for a service together. And I just want to say how honored and moved we are to have you back in the house that you both built and served with so much love and soul. I already feel the buzz of excitement as we anticipate hearing Cantor Mutlu sing the strains of one of our tradition's most iconic melodies, the Kol Nidre. It would not be the same if we were not all here together. And here, watching us on JBS and live stream, we welcome our members, some of you who I know are home and staying safe, and people who are in our neighborhood and people watching from all around the world. Let us continue together as we call ourselves to worship with the Baruch Hu on page 4. Please rise.
standing. Please join me at the bottom of the page in English. Blessed are you, eternal God, from whom the evening flows. We find you in the mysteries of time, the passage of seasons, the night sky and all its wonders. You roll light away from darkness and darkness from light, causing day to pass and twilight to fall. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Aravim. Blessed are you, O God, from whom the evening flows. We're about to sing the Shema, and when it is not Yom Kippur, it is customary here and in Jewish communities around the world to say the first line in full voice and the second line softly. Yom Kippur has always marked an exception because more than 2,000 years ago, during the days when the temple stood in Jerusalem, both lines of the Shema were said in full voice by the priests and the community. Tonight and tomorrow, we will echo them, and this tradition from the days of the temple, and join together in full volume for both lines of the Shema.
Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchoto Le'olam Va'ed.
We're on page 8. Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברתם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught. Before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it's eternally Egypt.
That there's a better place, a promised land, and the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness. That there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together, singing yai da da da, yai da da da, yai da da da, yai da da, yai da da, yai da da, כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נוראתי לראות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקי הים לפני משה ומרים. זה לי ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גל ישראל.
Hashkivenu is the quintessential prayer of the evening. And I've had many sleepless nights over the last evenings. Perhaps you have too. And in this prayer of nighttime, we ask God to help us lie down in peace, to relieve us of our angst and our worry. This Sukkot Shalom, this shelter of wholeness we seek, is not just a protection from all the world's harms outside us that we fear, but also the darkness that can sometimes be inside, our anxieties and vulnerabilities which come to light when it gets dark. How much more so on this eve of Yom Kippur, when we carry the weight of our entire year on our shoulder, anticipating our accountability. God, help us lie down in peace and wake us up to a year renewed.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Lishalom Hashkivenu Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Lishalom.
V'hamidenu malkeinu lechayim uleshalom uleshalom. Hashkivenu Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu
Lishalom ufros aleinu Sukkot shlomecha Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu
Hashkivenu
Adonai
Eloheinu
Lishalom
Adonai Eloheinu
Continue on page 11. Tonight we face our nakedness, mirrored contemplations of concealed selves, laid bare of artifice, backdrop to a cavernous silence, broken only by the quiet chant of Kol Nidre. This is the time when consciousness colludes with conscience to shatter the delusions with which we cloak our souls. Tonight, God asks us where and what we are.
We creatures fashioned in God's goodness are capable of cruelty. We vessels of God's holiness litter others' lives with profanities of speech and deed and will. The nakedness of Kol Nidre's call can pierce our metal, unsettling us with echoes of the chaos we have caused, the brokenness of loved ones at whose lives we chipped away.
Give us pause to recognize how every year we choose again to grow more worn and withered, dry inside, or stronger, older, far more resolute, awake to what should matter most. Which shall it be? Kol Nidre sounds especially pure to souls who have lost their way or find themselves enmeshed in webs of hopelessness. God, disentangle us, we pray. Where we have sinned, remove the shame of self and make us worthy of Kol Nidre's melody. Please rise.
שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך Oh, Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Oh, Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your Adonai, שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך אדוני, שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואימותינו אלוהי אברהם אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב אלוהי שרה אלוהי רבקה אלוהי רחל אלוהי לאה האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא אל עליון גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות
נשמות תמימות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. זוכרנו לחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, וכותבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים, למענך, למענך, למענך אלוהים חיים, למענך, למענך, למענך אלוהים חיים. Remember us unto life, O God of all, who delights in life. Melech Ozer uMoshia uMagen, Baruch Ata Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah.
Page 14, please join me at the top. Adonai, our God, is merciful and gracious, endlessly patient, loving and true, showing mercy to thousands, forgiving iniquity, transgression, and sin, and granting pardon.
Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum Vechanun, Erech Apayim, Verav Chesed Ve'emet, Notzer Chesed La'alafim, Nosei Avot Nafesha V'chata V'nakem.
Join with me. Our God, God of our ancestors, grant that our prayers may reach you. Do not be deaf to our pleas, for we are not so arrogant and stiff-necked as to say before you, our God and God of all ages, we are perfect and have not sinned. Rather do we confess, we have gone astray, we have sinned, we have transgressed.
Eloheinu, Elohe Avotenu v'Imotenu, Tavo lefanecha tefilatenu, ve'alet italam mitchinatenu, she'en anachnu azeifanim ukshei oreh, lomar lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'im צדיקים אנחנו ולא חטאנו.
דיברנו דופי, דיברנו דופי, היי 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 הבינו, הבינו, והרשנו, והרשנו, זדנו, זדנו, חמסנו, חמסנו, טפנו שקר, טפנו שקר, היי 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 יעצנו רע, יעצנו רע, כיזבנו, כיזבנו, לצנו, לצנו, מרדנו, מרדנו, ניאצנו, ניאצנו, היי 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 שררנו, שררנו, אבינו, אבינו, פשענו, פשענו, צררנו, צררנו, כישינו עורף, כישינו עורף, היי 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 רשענו, רשענו, שיחתנו, שיחתנו, תיעבנו, תיעבנו, טעינו, טעינו, תיתנו,
We abuse, we betray, we are cruel, we destroy. We embitter, we falsify, we gossip, we hate, we insult, we jeer, we kill, we lie, we mock, we neglect, we oppress, we pervert, we quarrel, we rebel, we steal, we transgress, we are unkind,
We are violent,
we are wicked, we are extremists. We yearn to do evil, we are zealous for bad causes. For all these sins, O God of mercy, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
לך לנו, סלח לנו, לך לנו, קבל לנו. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בנטיית גרון,
For the sins we have committed against you through arrogance and selfishness.
ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בהונאת ראייה.
For the sins we have committed against you by defrauding others.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בכחש ובכזב.
For the sins we have committed against you by fraud and falsehood.
ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך במחל ובמשתה.
For the sins we have committed against you through greed and overindulgence.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך באימוץ הלב.
For the sins we have committed against you by hardening our hearts.
ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בחנופה.
For the sins we have committed against you by false flattery.
על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בצרות עין.
For the sins we have committed against you by narrow-mindedness.
ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בגילוי עריות.
For the sins we have committed against you by sexual immorality.
ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בווידוי פה.
For the sins we have committed against you by our hypocrisy. For all these sins, O God of mercy, forgive us, pardon us, grant us atonement.
Shema Kolenu, hear our voice, Adonai, our God, be kind, sympathize with us, willingly and lovingly accept our prayer. Then turn us, Adonai, and we will return to you. Make our days seem fresh as they once were. Do not cast us away from you. Do not take your holy presence from us.
Do not cast us away as we grow old. Do not desert us as our life ends.
Do not abandon us, Adonai our God. Do not distance yourself from us. Give us hope, be our help and comfort. Hear our words, Adonai, and consider our innermost thoughts. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer.
Shema, Shema, Kolenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Chus v'rachem aleinu, v'kabeil berachamim וברצון את תפילתנו. שמע שמע קולנו תשליכנו לעת זקנה, לעת זקנה. אל תשליכנו לעת זקנה, לעת זקנה, ככלות כוחנו, אל תעזבנו, אל תעזבנו, ככלות כוחנו, אל תעזבנו, אל תעזבנו, תעזבנו, ככלות כוחנו, אל תעזבנו, אל תעזבנו. Together. Shema, Shema, Adonai Eloheinu, Shus v'rachem aleinu, v'kabel berachamim u'beratzon et
With the image of Rabbi Rubenstein and Cantor Botten before us, with the song that you just helped us sing, Cantor Botten, we enter a chance for us to pray silently.
We continue on page 19. The accident of mortality makes life an interim of expulsion as quickened dust and ashes, bookended by eternities. We were thrust at birth onto a stage as actors, unprepared for roles we never sought to have. With every day's performance, we edge closer to the final bow.
But we Jews are well practiced in the art of exile, how to be at peace wherever we may be, secured by goodness, love, and learning, gratitude and dignity, and empathy for suffering, integrity and kindness. These the brick and mortar of authentic Jewish coming home. Return to these, Kol Nidre charges, before lights go out and the stage is darkened.
Tonight, the world of things, events, and expectation retreats from consciousness, that we may honestly confront what we have been, where we have gone, what we are worth, if we have failed. We pray that at this time tomorrow night, when the ark doors open for Ne'ilah, our final service for these days of awe, we may reclaim the promise we once knew we had. Tonight at home with God and with one another, we pause for clarity of purpose en route to that rebirth.
As this Kol Nidre season and this time calls us to return, we too invite our Torah scrolls to return back to our ark as we prepare for Kol Nidre. Please rise.
Please be seated.
Our cantor is unreal. I'm breathless from it. Thank you. For the sin we've committed against you by lying, for the sin we've committed against you through speech, for the sin we've committed against you in passing judgment. Oh boy, we have a lot of atoning to do. But that last one, it stopped me short. The sin of passing judgment. I understand the sins of lying or cheating or speaking ill, but that judgmental thought in my head, we have to atone for that. Our tradition understands judgments hold great power. On this holiest day of 5784, as we communally atone, I want to address an issue in the Jewish community that we have perhaps most openly judged: intermarriage. And we've justified our disapproval in the name of Jewish continuity. You may already be aware that I am the product of an intermarriage, a Jewish American father to a Korean Buddhist mother. But it might surprise you that my sister and I grew up facing some familiar pressures. I'll never forget when my sister brought home her first college boyfriend for Thanksgiving, and he happened to be Korean. My mom pulled me into the kitchen, and she whispered, "When is she going to find a nice Jewish boy?" Even my Korean Buddhist mother had internalized the Jewish mother's mantra. Like many of you, I've also adopted the Jewish mother's mantra, and to say otherwise would risk that my children and yours could walk out of this sermon thinking that I don't care if they create Jewish homes or Jewish grandchildren. I do care. A lot. But the persistent mandate to marry someone Jewish is not the only path to Jewish continuity, nor is it sufficient. It may even be backfiring. You see, the American Jewish community has been saying this for over 70 years, but it hasn't stopped our children from falling in love with people who aren't Jewish. The intermarriage rate for non-Orthodox Jews has only grown to over 70%. So for the vast majority of our kids, regarding the most consequential emotional decision of their lives, we're essentially telling them, "You've let us down, and all your ancestors." Our judgment has turned many Jews away. We all want to see Judaism thrive and endure, but Jewish continuity has never just relied on marrying Jewish. And if you don't believe me, let's go back to a rabbi's favorite source. You see, intermarriage is as old as the Bible. Joseph married an Egyptian. Moses married a Midianite. King Solomon had multiple non-Jewish wives. Queen Esther's intermarriage saved our people. The Bible has no universal prohibition on intermarriage, only on certain restricted tribes who threatened to lead Israel astray. But our exile to Babylon in the 6th century BCE changed our identity as a nation. When the Israelites were allowed to return to Israel just 70 years later, most had acculturated so successfully in Babylon that they didn't want to leave, even to go back to our homeland. The scribes and scholars, Ezra and Nehemiah, were among the few who did return, and they were dismayed to see most of the Israelites who had stayed in Israel had married women from other tribes. Worried for Jewish continuity, Ezra took an extreme position. He demanded that intermarried men divorce their wives and disown their children. Ezra introduced the concept of Zerah Kodesh, the requirement of holy seed, a racial Jewish essence that only comes through two Jewish parents. But Ezra did not have the final word. Around the same time as Ezra, the book of Ruth appeared. Ruth was a Moabite, one of the biblically prohibited tribes, who nevertheless marries an Israelite. When Ruth's Jewish husband dies, she refuses to abandon her mother-in-law. This alone would make her a saint if we did that kind of thing. Ruth accompanies Naomi back to Israel, even as it makes Ruth a stranger herself. She utters these famous words of devotion, "Wherever you go, I will go. Your people are my people. Your God, my God." Professor Yair Zakovich, a preeminent Bible scholar from Hebrew University, argues that the book of Ruth was written as a radically inclusive response to Ezra's cruel intermarriage policy. Ruth goes on to become the great-grandmother of King David and the future Messiah. This sacred text makes explicit the redemption of the Jewish people will come through a foreigner who we welcome into the house of Israel. The book of Ruth rejects the idea that belonging to the Jewish community is about Zerah Kodesh, holy seed, and instead sets up an ideal for conversion to Judaism, which is about dedication to our people and our God. Fast forward 2,500 years to 1948 and the founding of the State of Israel. And once again, Jews were miraculously welcomed to come back to our homeland. But by then, the vast majority of American Jews had assimilated so successfully in our new nation that very few of us returned. We remained in America, and we started to intermarry. At first, these unions were viewed as a positive sign of Jewish acceptance. But as the numbers rose in the 1960s, Jewish sociologists, relying on the new oracle of data, declared intermarriage the single greatest threat to Jewish survival. When intermarriage rates hit 50% in the 1990s, some rabbis even called it a second Holocaust. Not unlike the time of Ezra, we were insecure about our Jewish future. And many in the mainstream Jewish community took an Ezra-like approach. Families sat shiva for children who intermarried. Synagogues rejected non-Jewish partners as members. Rabbis refused to officiate intermarriages. We shunned and we shamed. But in 1978, Rabbi Alexander Schindler, the president of the Reform movement, risked a radically different approach. So radical it made the front page of the New York Times. Schindler advocated a three-part outreach plan. First, do a much better job of welcoming those who convert. Second, do everything possible to include and welcome the non-Jewish partners into our community and their children. And third, and most controversial, be champions of Judaism to the world. In short, proselytize. Schindler's revolutionary plan provoked criticism, even within the Reform movement. And yet, over time, this outreach approach fundamentally changed American Jewish life. I know it changed mine. It meant that my family was welcomed in our Tacoma synagogue in the 1970s. It meant that my mother could stand next to me on the bima when I became bat mitzvah. It meant that I was fully accepted as a Jew of patrilineal descent. It's no exaggeration to say that I would not be a rabbi today, or even a Jew, were it not for Rabbi Schindler's courageous belief that intermarriage was not just a threat, but an opportunity. Schindler believed it wasn't intermarriage itself, but the community's response to it that would decide the fate of Jewish continuity. 2 generations later, we can see that Rabbi Schindler was prophetic. Before Schindler's outreach revolution, the percentage of children of intermarriage, like me, who identified as Jewish, was in the single digits. Today, more than 2/3 of intermarried families are raising their children as Jews. Now, I'm not great at math, but that sounds like a formula for Jewish growth. Yet we still treat intermarriage as a threat. It's true. Creating Jewish identity can take more work for children of intermarriage, who are still less likely to identify as Jewish as children of 2 Jewish parents. But I want to let you in on a little secret. It's often the non-Jewish parent who encourages the Jewish identity in a family, who enables us to see our holidays and our rituals with fresh eyes, who raises Jewish children and drives the Hebrew school carpool. I see it every day. For reasons that are as diverse as each one of them, they have not chosen to convert. So we will not call them B'nai Yisrael, the children of Israel. But we should see them as Bonei Yisrael, the builders of Israel. These non-Jewish parents and partners sitting here in this room and watching online, like my mother, deserve our gratitude and our honor for the many ways they have built Jewish families and Jewish communities. For example, right here at Central, in addition to your senior rabbi, Cantor Jenna Pearsall, Rabbi Chelsea Fuchs, Cantor Julia Cadrain, all encouraged me to share that they too are children of intermarriage. It's time for our Jewish community to stop passing judgment and to recognize the reality and the blessing of having Bonei Yisrael within our families and our community. I can't help but wonder, however, how many of those Bonei Yisrael would actually be willing to choose to become B'nai Yisrael if we actually offered a true invitation? Every marketer knows that the most important way to gauge how much someone values a product or a program is the way they answer the question, would you recommend this to a friend? Jews don't do that. We don't recommend Judaism to our friends or even our spouse. Why is that? I know we're allergic to the idea of proselytizing. It's the one part of the Schindler Outreach Program that never took hold. But I'm not talking about knocking on people's doors with a Hebrew Bible. I'm talking about sharing what is most meaningful to you with others, with people you love, those who are seeking a roadmap for living with purpose. Throughout Jewish history, you should know, whenever Jews felt safe, we sought new adherents. This moment in America should be such a time. Proudly, Central Synagogue has not shied away from making conversion accessible and inviting. 14 years ago, Rabbi Peter Rubenstein hired Rabbi Lisa Rubin to start our Center for Exploring Judaism, which has welcomed 1,600 students and overseen more than 500 conversions to date. During COVID, we offered remote classes and now have students from over 20 countries. Our Center for Exploring Judaism is the largest program of its kind in any synagogue, but it's not nearly enough. We will need the entire Jewish community to prioritize this. And that includes every Jew here and everyone watching. Because I think one of the greatest obstacles to more people converting is our judgments. Al-Chet, for judging Judaism as not worthy of sharing. I remember when a woman named Barbara came through our Exploring Judaism class. She'd been married to a Jew for over a decade before she finally realized she could find a spiritual home for herself in Judaism. Weeks before her Giyur, her conversion ceremony, a murderer killed 11 Jews at Pittsburgh's Tree of Life Synagogue. Barbara's wife, Ruth, asked her, "Why in the world would you want to join such a hated people?" Barbara not only joined the Jewish people, she took on the Hebrew name of Rose Mallinger, one of the Pittsburgh victims. Ruth resisted, but Barbara insisted, "Your people are my people." But before we leave our list of al-Chets, there's more we need to atone for communally when it comes to the convert. Al-Chet, for privately thinking that Jews by choice are somehow less authentic Jews. Al-Chet, for stubbornly clinging to a holy seed identity which sees Judaism as an ethnic, racial club you can only join by birth. I think of my non-Jewish Korean mother, who was always warmly welcomed in my Tacoma synagogue as a guest. No one ever suggested, you could actually join our people. My mother loved Judaism, but believed she would never really be seen as a Jew, even if she converted, that she would be a perpetual stranger. But do you know, the word ger in the Bible means stranger, and the process to convert to Judaism is called giyur, which is from the verb lahitgayer, to make someone into a stranger. Now, at first, this seems backwards. Isn't conversion making a stranger into a Jew? The deeper meaning is, when someone chooses to become a Jew, they are choosing to become a stranger. Abraham is the first ger. He's called to leave his homeland and has to become a stranger in order to become the first Jew. Ruth also leaves her homeland of Moab to become our most famous ger and ultimately to redeem us all. Being a stranger and how it calls us to empathy, compassion, and justice, that is the essence of what it means to be a Jew. So for those of you who have considered conversion but feel like you don't know enough, or you can't play Jewish geography, or you sometimes feel like you're on the outside, you should know this is what it means to have the soul of a stranger. And there's nothing more Jewish than that. Every time someone chooses to join our people, they remind us of this truth and what is most beautiful and proud in our tradition. Like Lasidi, a new Jew who shared with us what Judaism calls her to do, saying, "I will remember Adam chose knowledge over immortality and cherished the Torah, knowing that God is in those pages. I will give tzedakah knowing it's not charity, but justice. I will remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. I will raise Jewish children who will know that despite being enslaved people, their ancestors saw that human life was sacred and that we were all equal before God. Wouldn't you recommend that to a friend? This year, let us shed the harsh judgments of Ezra and pick up the courageous mantle of Ruth, the outsider who was willing to journey to a new strange place out of her devotion and love. Our tradition teaches that our survival, our Jewish continuity, indeed our very redemption, depends on it. Ki el asher telchi eilech. Wherever you go, you know I'll follow. Uva asher talini ali. Wherever your journey takes you, I'll stay with you. Don't ask me now to leave you, to go back to my home. My past will always stay with me, but this new place is my own. Amech ami, ve'Elohayich Elohai. Your people are my people, and your God, my God. Ki el asher telchi eilech. Wherever you go, you know I'll follow. Uva asher talini ali. Wherever your journey takes you, I'll stay with you.
ובאשר תמותי אמות, ושם אקבר אלוהייך אלוהי. And where you choose your final resting place, that's where I too will be buried. Elohai, Elohai.
Ki el asher telchi eilech. Wherever you go, you know I'll follow. Uva asher talini ali. Wherever your journey takes you, I'll stay with you. Wherever your journey takes you, I'll stay with you.
We're on page 22. Please rise.
Please join with me in reading the English of Avinu Malkeinu, beginning on page 22. Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, we have sinned against you. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and on our children. Avinu Malkeinu, make an end to sickness, war, and famine. Avinu Malkeinu, make an end to all oppression. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us for blessing in the book of life. Avinu Malkeinu, let the new year be a good year for us. Avinu Malkeinu, be gracious and answer us, for we have little merit. Treat us generously and with kindness, and be our help.
Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Koleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Please be seated.
It is now my pleasure to invite up our most extraordinary, devoted, wise president, Dr. Shani Silverberg. This is her last year as president. And I just want to say that it has been an eventful presidency for Shani in ways that I think she probably couldn't have expected. And we've been so, so grateful for her calm leadership and her wise counsel in all things. She has truly been the president for this moment, and we are so grateful. Thank you, Shani.
Hyperbole is a very Jewish trait. It is so great to see you all. Good evening. Welcome to our Jews in the pews in our sanctuary, to our neighbors, to those joining on live stream and JBS. Whether you are in the 6th generation of your family here at Central, or you are joining us for the very first time. This is my 3rd and final Yom Kippur appeal as president, and I really wanted to end on a high note. I planned to speak about the pandemic as something in our rear view mirror. It is. COVID, not so much. You know where it says in the car, objects in your mirror are closer than they appear? Well, it turns out to be true for viruses as well. As soon as I finished writing my first draft, I promptly got COVID for the very first time. And as you know, both your senior rabbi and president just came out of isolation for the first time. And the joke is on us. As my mother used to say, man tracht und Gott lacht. We plan and God laughs. Despite that unfortunate blip in our narrative, I'd like to take us back to spring of 2020, when coronavirus swept the nation and New York shut down. We at Central were able to immediately move all synagogue activities online, because a decade earlier, Rabbi Rubenstein, there he is, okay, Rabbi Rubenstein made the prescient commitment to offer an online alternative to serve homebound congregants. Thanks to our nimble staff and clergy team, we had Shabbat services that kept us connected. We had top-flight education for all ages, restorative meditation with Rabbi Buchdahl, invaluable pickle making with Rabbi Lorge, and joyful singing with Cantor Mutlu, and often his adorable, talented family. While this transition appeared seamless, it actually required significant resources. The unwavering commitment of our remarkable team, both on the bima and behind the scenes, and the generosity of you, our members. COVID receded and you gradually returned, and we chose the dual option, offering high-quality services and programs both in person and online. This again required significant additional financial and staff resources, and you stepped up. Now I am so happy to say we are back. Shabbat attendance has returned to pre-pandemic levels, with hundreds of worshipers filling the pews. The uplifting music of our services is augmented by members celebrating milestones, visiting youth groups, speakers, and choirs, mourners marking yahrzeits. Our schools serve over 800 children from nursery to high school. Thousands of adults attend classes and presentations on topics with which we all wrestle: anti-Semitism, end-of-life planning, the fractures in Israel. We live our Jewish values by feeding our neighbors, resettling refugee families, helping those transitioning out of incarceration, and as you heard, our Center for Exploring Judaism served nearly 200 this year, and we welcomed 75 new Jews after conversion. But upon reflection, it is clear to me that we are not simply back. Instead, we have moved beyond where we were before. We are not who we were before the pandemic, with tens of thousands joining for Shabbat and hundreds of thousands of you joining on the high holidays. We are now a community that never existed anywhere before the pandemic. We are a local congregation with a worldwide community building Jewish connections across borders. We always will prioritize our congregants here in the city, But now we more nimbly serve members who can't be with us because of physical limitations or because they are outside of our area. And just as every B'nai Mitzvah and wedding at Central strengthens Jewish tradition in our membership, so too our global participants reinforce Jewish values and traditions in their own homes and communities. In this way, Central is living up to our belief that a life with Judaism is more meaningful than life without it, and that Reform Judaism affirms that faith and modernity can walk hand in hand. I want to direct some brief comments first to our members and then to our live streamers. First, I want to welcome back our members to the sanctuary. I can't tell you how wonderful it is for us to be together. You are our families, my family right there, our dinner companions, my dinner companions are here as well, our friends, our neighbors. Over this period, when we were apart, many of you actually became more engaged with Central. More of you joined the synagogue, and in 2022, despite several years' absence from our sanctuary, 86% of members attended 3 or more high holiday services, in person or virtually, up from 42% in 2019. Are our members more engaged simply due to the availability of online options? Or has the experience of COVID somehow changed our connection to Judaism, Central Synagogue, and each other? And maybe, consciously or not, the rise in anti-Semitism in the world and in our surrounding community has focused our minds on what is at stake when we choose proudly and publicly a Jewish identity. Whatever your reasons, Central's ability to offer our members the Jewish experience we cherish depends very literally on you. The Yom Kippur Appeal funds over 1/3 of our operating budget, allowing us to attract and retain the best clergy and staff, supporting our education and programs, providing dues and tuition assistance to 1 in 5 of our own members. None of this can happen without your decision to contribute. I also want to briefly address our live stream and global community. You are a wildly diverse group, joining us from across the United States and from over 100 countries around the globe. Yael from Mumbai, Mona from Johannesburg, Lucia from Belo Horizonte, Brazil. We created the online-only neighborhood, over 700 strong. Actually, I heard it was over 800 yesterday, who worship together but never enter our physical space. It is run by Rabbi Andrew Mandel, who has joined our clergy full-time to work on growing the online Jewish experience for members, neighbors, and live streamers alike. Last year, I asked you, our online community, for your support, and you responded in ways that frankly knocked our socks off. 7,000 non-member live streamers donated to our Yom Kippur Appeal last year. Tonight, I ask that you consider a gift not only in recognition of what these services mean to you, but also to enable us to continue providing the highest quality live stream to all, regardless of financial capacity. As Rabbi Buchtel recently said, rabbis are in the awe business. As a physician for over 40 years, I would say that doctors are in the healing business. But as an institution, Central is in both, what I might call the wholeness business. That means powerful worship, educating our children in what Judaism actually stands for, providing them with tools to respond to anti-Semitism, holding us up in the face of unspeakable grief, providing a lifeline to the lonely, and offering us all opportunities to participate in repairing the world. How has Central made you whole this year, and when might you need it in the future? I want to close my final Yom Kippur appeal with a few personal thank yous to Rabbi Buchdahl and Executive Director Kaban, who we know is out there somewhere, for your wisdom and leadership, to Central's clergy and staff for your tireless work on our behalf, and to all of you for the honor, privilege, and pleasure of serving this great congregation, even with the tsuris of changes with assigned seating. Finally, I want to thank you for your past support and to ask each of you to join me in this crucial project once again, or for the first time. As a great mentor taught me, don't give until it hurts. Give until it feels great. Your contribution will assure that Central Synagogue has the resources to help make each of us whole in this new year of 5784. Thank you, and Shana Tova.
A few brief announcements. First of all, thank you to our president for all that you do that we can see, and so much that we know that you do behind the scenes. Thank you so much. For our ancestors, rain was considered a sign of good luck and blessing. So we here in the New York metropolitan area, we're doing very well on this Yom Kippur. And we know that a number of you stayed home because it was just too hard to get out. And we have a full congregation, and thank you for coming in person to be here for this sacred, special Kol Nidre evening. A reminder that services tomorrow begin at 10 o'clock here in the sanctuary for assigned ticket holders, and either 9 a.m. or 12:30 p.m. in David Geffen Hall at Lincoln Center. And our afternoon services will take place in both locations starting at 4 o'clock. If you're unclear about which service you should be attending, please check your tickets or speak to one of our staff at the front of our locations. And if you're joining us online, you can find out about our live streaming schedule by going to our website High Holiday page. Our family service will take place here in the sanctuary tomorrow at 2:30. I want to thank our magnificent musicians. I want to thank our shamashim, our ushers, our own congregants who volunteer their time during the holidays to help us, our AV staff, our operations staff, our security team. All of this is possible because of all of you, and we're so, so grateful. We're on page 24.
Birth is a beginning, and death a destination. And life is a journey from childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion, and then perhaps to wisdom. It's a journey from weakness to strength, or strength to weakness, and often back again. From health to sickness and back, we pray to health again. A journey from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, and from pain to compassion, and grief to understanding, from fear to faith, and from defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made this journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning, and death a destination, and life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage to life everlasting. Zichronam livrakam, may their memory be a blessing, as we rise and continue together with the Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yikdash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach hiroteh v'yamlik malchoteh, v'chayekon v'yomechon v'chayei d'kol Beit Yisrael, b'agalah uzman pari v'yimru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shmei l'kiddusha baruch hu. Le'ela u'le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata. Tushbachelta v'nechemata. Damiran v'yalma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'asei shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'al kol Yoshvei Tevel, v'namo. Amen.
Shalom, bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael.
Conclude with Adon Olam on page 26.
Adon Olam
Asher malach b'terem kol yitzir
nivra,
li'ein nasa b'chefzo kol azai melech shemo nigra. Be'acharei kichlot hakol levado yimloch nora, ve'hu haya ve'hu hove ve'hu yeh v'tifara, ve'hu
us be grateful to those who have chosen to become part of our destiny and of our family. Let us throw open our doors to those who would choose to enter, and open our arms wide to embrace the non-Jews who are sitting among us today. All of them are precious and courageous, and they are part of our future and our destiny. So in this new year, let us together be strong and purposeful, and be sealed in the book of life with God's help. Amen.
Amen.
Shana Tova.